Do you think that there is a connection between the priorities that Governor Kemp has had in his approach to reopening and this challenge in reopening schools? I saw in Cherokee County, in your district, teachers and community members recently protested a reopening plan that they called rushed and inadequate to ensure the safety of students, teachers, and staff. And it appears to me from the governor's public statements that much of his reopening has been focused on the need to support economic activity. Do you have problems with the prioritization there? Do you think that the focus on the economy takes away from safety for students? How do you think about those two issues interacting?
Well, it was a really good time that we had out there. I was out there with Jenny Lennox and Charles Ravenscraft. I I'm not aware of any of the Republican candidates for the state house or Senate in the area showing up to express support for their teachers. They may have been there. I wasn't aware of them being out there, but we had a good time. We had some good chants. We had a rainbow over to the side when we were doing it. It's folly to always look at the economy, and the economy. They're almost always talking about the stock market. They're almost always talking about shareholder value. They're almost always talking about having the lights on somewhere. When they talk about the economy, they're not talking about jobs. They're not talking about pay. They're not talking about benefits. They're not talking about worker safety. So the prioritization is not just to say the economy over schools, it's to say profit over schools. And it's wrong. And we know that it's wrong because there are other countries. The entire world has had COVID. It's not America. It's not just Europe. It's not just a country in Europe. I trust Governor Cuomo when he says that probably the way that it got to New York, which is probably the way that it mostly got to the rest of the US, was from Europe. And we can see those countries over there. They did, and there's lots of countries and they did it in sort of different ways, but most of them did very heavy duty lockdowns and mask orders and just amazing amounts of testing and super duper contact tracing, where they could tell you where you got that COVID from and quarantine everybody that probably has it without necessarily even testing them. And they shut it down. And you can see all these countries all over the world, except for the United States and Brazil and, and even within the US. If you look at New York and you look up in the New England, all the tree huggers up there, they are basically under control, except for when people from Georgia come to New York or people from Florida go to New York. That's like the only source of their COVID now. And that all has to do with prioritizing the people. So not the economy, not schools, not, anything, just the people over any other concern. And that's the job of the government. It's in the preamble to the US Constitution, we the people. First thing that the founding document of our country says is about the people. And that's what makes it so galling that the most important thing for everyone, for mostly the Republicans, was we got to get the economy up and running again, because I can't stand seeing the NASDAQ down so low.